EPPING. My name is Robert Ozzimo and I proudly represent the company of Harcourts, Rata and Co. Joined here today by the best in the business, the best in the north, the boys in blue. Should you require their advice, please feel free to approach either Con, Geo, Mark behind the camera, and of course Leon El-Assaad, who no doubt you've had the great pleasure of meeting throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, let me share with you the following announcements which in place help you bid and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that are made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. The contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in 30 to 90 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, quite a straightforward contract. Everything is in there, everything's quite clear. Buyers, is with my highest recommendation what we offer for your consideration and competition here today. A great opportunity to get into the market before Christmas. Not many opportunities left. Last big day of auctions for the year, and in 2025 we've seen enormous growth that is set to continue in 2026. So it's an opportunity for you and your family to get into the market and enjoy the benefit of that capital growth without having to wait and pay for that growth down the track. And what better way to do that than here in Courtnay Place in the heart of EPPING. Access to absolutely everything you need. Add to that a great sized home, a great floor plan, a flexible floor plan, plenty of room for the family today, but more importantly, plenty of the room for the family to grow into over the years. And that journey starts here, starts now, starts with getting the salt sticker up on the board. So if that is your goal, now's the opportunity to reserve the right. Buyers, where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for number 7, Courtnay? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the call. Start me where you like. In your hands, buyers. At 550,000, it's a little bit light on, but we'll go with you at 550, and I'll take 600 in the rise at 550,000. I'll move along with a vendor bid at 600,000, place us a little bit closer to where we need to be at 600,000 against your bid for 50 if you like. At 600,000 now the bid. At 600 the bid. At 600,000 now. At 600,000 my bid against every interested party here today. 600,000, 20 now. At 650 now. 650. Welcome at $650,000 a bid. At 650,000, 20 if you like. At 650, make it 70 in the rise. At 650 the bid. At 650,000, fairly been offered in the centre. At 650 now. At 650,000. At 75 and a great bit at that, and welcome back at 75 and 700 Con if they like. At 675. At 675,000, fairly been offered now. At 675 the bid. At 675,000, fairly been offered here. No, I won't take 80 at 675. I'm asking 25 in the rise. At 675 the bid. First call at 675. Are we done? Second call at 700,000. Welcome, best of luck. Even money at 700 now. At 700 the bid. Fresh bid in there at 700,000. New competition to beat at 700. At 700,000. At 710, I'll shorten my stride and get you back involved at 10. And the same for courtesy at 10 if you like. At 710,000 the bids there. I'm asking for 10 at 710,000, make it 20 at 710,000. Opportunity here at 20 got now at 720,000. At 720 the bid and 30 the call. At 720,000, fairly been offered now. At 720 I have. At 720,000, bid in the centre, opportunity on either side. At 720 you're definitely done. Thank you for your bidding here today. At 720 the bid now. At 720,000, fairly been offered. Bids there at 720. 30 will get you on top. At 25, I'll shorten my stride again at 25, and now they've got the courtesy at 5 if they like. Con at 725 now at 7 1/4 in the bids here. At 725,000, fairly been offered. At 725 the bid. At 725,000, fairly been offered now. Once at 725, are we done? At 725,000, second call at 725 the bid. Done, finished at 725 the bid now. Third, final call at $725,000 the bid. Are we done? Finished? Silent? Out at 725. Can I confirm that bid at 725,000? If you bear with me one moment, we are close. I do need to get some further instructions, and I'll be back momentarily. Thank you. Oh, buyers, thank you for your patience at 725,000 to confirm your bid just one more time at 725. Great news. We're on the market. We sell here today at 30 now, 730. I was going to say you had the keys in your pocket, and you did for a moment, but they're there now. But we are selling here today, so if you have come to buy, please show me now. At 730,000, the bid's there, keys are there. We can't let him buy it with one bid. You've worked so hard. At 730,000 now, fairly bid and offered at 730 the bid. We're on the market. We sell here today at 730. Bids there, keys are there at 35 now, at 735, and welcome back at 35. Keys back with you at 735 now. At 735,000, sir, it was a good bid at 1 at 736. At 736 now. 40, if that's 40, let me know at 736. At 736, I have now down to $1,000 bids. An easy bid to beat, I would say. At 736,000, fairly bid and offered. 38. At 38 now, at 738, 40 if you like, sir. At 738 now, fairly been offered here. At 738, they've got the keys at 40. At 740 with a nod of the head. At 740,000, asking for a bigger bid, Con. At 740 now. At 740,000, fairly been offered at 740. Once at 740,000. 41. At 41, and welcome back at 41. The bid's there, competition with you at 43, 743, at 743, at 743, was that a bid, sir? At 743, at 743,000, bids in the centre, keys in the centre, opportunity again on either side at 743, at 743,000, we sell if there's no further bidding here today, at 743 the bid. At 44 now, at 744, at 744, at 744 the bid here, keys here, opportunity back with your buyer. Sir, ma'am, are we done here? Yeah. Definitely done. Thank you very much for your bidding here today. At 744,000, bids there, keys are there at 744, once at 744, done, twice at 744, done, finished, third, final call at 744,000, all done, all finished, all silent out at 744. Keys are here at 744.
Definitely out.
Clear instructions, yes or no? Done. Thank them for the bidding here today. At 744,000, we are selling. Selling. Selling.
Definitely out.
So, congratulations and well bid. Please join me in congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another successful Harcourts, Rata and Co auction. Have a great weekend, a great Christmas, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Almost.